Good morning, sir, and good morning, ma'am. We will be starting our session now. And good morning, all my dear participants. I, Dr. Saili Karande, welcome you all to today's session of the Masterclass series organized by School of Management, PCET's Pimpri Chinchwad University. As a part of our pre-induction program, we aim to offer you not just academic insights, but also real-world perspective from industry leaders who are shaping the business landscape. Today, we are honored to host a distinguished professional from the world of global finance, Mr. Jimmy Joseph from Deutsche Bank. Joseph Sir brings with him a wealth of experience in investment banking, a field that plays a pivotal role in the world of economy by driving corporate strategy, facilitating capital raising, and enabling cross border deals. Sir, core strength lies in deep understanding of investment banking, encompassing its fundamental roles such as capital raising, M&A advisory, and strategic financial services. He is particularly drawn to how the industry is being reshaped by emerging trends like fintech, AI, and digital transformation, which demand both agility and innovation. He also brings a global perspective, appreciating the complexities of cross border transactions and the regulatory and cultural challenges they pose. Moreover, he is expert in how investment banks are driving ESG focused investing and influencing economic development and policy at a broader level. With a strong grasp of both the technical and strategic aspects of the field, Sir will also share his insight on how investment banks influence economic development and policy making and provide his valuable guidance on navigating interviews and building a successful career in this dynamic sector. We are truly privileged to have him with us today. I'm certain his insight will leave a lasting impact and on all our aspiring professionals here. Let's extend a warm virtual welcome to Mr. Jimmy Joseph, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Hailey. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Is it a two-way audio or it's just one way?
Sir, it will be one way. If there are
Okay.
any kind of questions, it will be raised
Fair.
into the chat box.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So to begin with, let me just thank the college, the teachers, and all the students who have put in a lot of efforts in organizing this. I understand, it is always, difficult to get everything right. You know, no, so without wasting much time, I will begin on my presentation. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. So, I mean, you would know that I would be speaking on investment banking, and most of the information that I will be presenting, like it is easily available on the internet. But then that is not the purpose. The purpose of all the college and teachers organizing this is like for people who are currently working in this field, to share their experiences, and so that based on our experiences, maybe you can take an informed decision. That is the entire purpose of having these sessions. So to begin with, investment banking. Let me start with the first slide. I mean, most of us. Sorry about this, and I thought it would have been a two-way conversation, but it's okay. I'll accordingly adjust. But so most of us would know this pictorial representation, right? So this is essentially it shows us the flow of income in a financial system, right? And we have studied this in maybe during our graduation, but I would like to explain this using an analogy. Imagine there's a river, and suppose um, the river is flowing normally. Okay, when the flow of the river is normal, everything is fine. Everything is fine. But if there is excess water, right, what will it cause? It will cause flooding, right? And if it is there's less water in the river, what will happen? We will have a drought, right? So the financial system is also works in a very similar way, where if there is excess of cash flow or cash in the system, it creates inflation. And if there is less cash in the system, then there will be less spending, and therefore there will be that will create a recession. So that is the reason it is very important to control the flow of income in an economy, and this is essentially done by the financial participants, namely the government and our central bank. And and banks in general, we are like we are the enablers. So whatever decisions is made by the central bank, we try to enforce it, or we try to act on it. For example, recently, um, RBI reduced the lending rates. Okay, the repo and reverse repo rates. So what happened? The banks accordingly reduced their lending rates. So what happens is, in turn, people will start borrowing more, and that will kickstart the economics cycle. Reversely, if there is, like, excess of income, or excess of cash in the financial system, RBI will increase the repo and reverse repo rate, and then concurrently the banks will have to increase their lending rates, and then people will start borrowing less, and you'll see a corresponding reduction in inflation. So this is what the entire cycle happens. And this is one of the most underrated, what do you say, diagrams. Because essentially it is very simple, and we happen to live in a world where we think what is complex is good, and what is simple is not that efficient. But this is one of the best ways of analyzing the economy, right? First you start at a macro level, then you drill it down to specific sectors, and then eventually you start analyzing the specific companies that you want to invest, or you want to invest or divest, either way, both ways. So the very important representation of our financial system. And in this financial system, one of the most important participant is the banks. Without banks, the entire system fails. We are like the enablers. We are the ones who act upon what has been decided. Now, so essentially, what is a bank? Before coming to investment bank, I'll just try to touch up what is a bank. So bank are, now, for this entire system to function, there are two things that are very important. One is credibility, and second is sustainability. Two important words. So essentially, not everyone can do the functions of a bank. It has to be an institution that has a lot of credibility. Okay, and credibility comes from its actions. And second is sustainability. For example, like, when you are putting your money into a bank, say SBI, right? You know the bank is like functioning okay, but you also know that even after 25 years, that bank is still going to be in existence. So that is where both the terms are actually very important. It has to be sustainable, and it also has to be credible. Suppose if you put your money into a bank, and it vanishes, it is out of business, what will happen? Like, the entire credibility of the system is lost, right? So whenever we talk about the banking industry, these two things are very important. And how is this enforced? Mm, Periodically, the banks, they get audited, and they have, they need to submit specific reports to the higher level bank, which in our case is the RBI, and that's how it works like a well-oiled machine. Now let me come upon investment banking. Before that, you know uh, what is a bank essentially? So bank is essentially an institution that deals with money. Okay, it will accept deposits from people, and it will grant loan and advances also people and even industries. So that is what a normal bank is. This is the primary function of a bank, but then there are other functions as well, like like mortgage based loans, or either what do you call it, cooperative or development bank sort of a arrangement, where we are trying to address different what do you call layers of the society, right? But then how is investment bank different from the normal bank? That is the question that would arise, right? So an investment bank does exactly performs exactly the same functions that a normal bank does. Like we also accept deposits, and we give loans to people who require it, mainly to corporates. But how is investment bank different from a normal bank? We do it at a different scale and complexity. For example, I'll give you an example. Suppose, any one of you, we have a customer in say Singapore, and he walks into our Singapore branch, and he says, I have a vendor payment to be made to a customer in America, and I need around $10 million. That is the payment that I need to make. So what an investment bank does is, we'll take up that request, and then we'll check in our system. And when we check in our system, we realize that it is not necessary for us to buy or to arrange this 10 million USD amount in Singapore. We can buy it from the New York Stock Exchange, New York market, or the London market, where we find it cheaper. To arrange the funds, it is cheaper for us to execute this transaction not in Singapore, not the base location, but in a foreign country, in a totally different country. So what we do is we buy 10 million, or we arrange this 10 million funding in, say, suppose in London Stock Exchange. Okay, and then we transfer that fund to Singapore. Now, a simple transaction, like, a customer comes in and puts up a request, has you know has started a chain of events globally. So this is where investment banking differs from local or domestic banking, where the scale of operation is much more complex. It is, I mean, the geography is like it's across the globe, and the quantum of the transaction is also very large. Like, so the customer is not aware of anything, what is going on in the back end. In the back end, we have arranged the funds from London. Why? Because it is more profitable for us. We'll be charging the customer the same amount that he will be charged if he had to arrange the funds in Singapore itself. But for us, it is more profitable to arrange the funds from London. So we get the funds from London, we give it to the customer, we charge him whatever markup we had to charge, plus we have made some additional profits because of the forex transaction. So this sort of a transactions, they don't take place in in a local or in a domestic bank. So that's how investment banking differs from um, the local banking industry, and one of few of the primary functions of an investment bank is one of the most important function is raising capital. If industry requires a capital, and it is never a small number, it is always huge. So we tend to be the book runners. Book runner is a person who leads in the capital raising activity. So do we do capital raising for industries, and we also do what is known as underwriting. Underwriting is where, suppose the issue gets undersubscribed, so that's where we take on that additional risk of raising capital. Then another major activity for or major what you call contributor to our P&L or profit is merger and acquisitions. So we generally advise industries if they're planning to acquire some firm, or or some other, if there is either downward or upward integration, we, any merger and acquisition, like, we evaluate it in a way that we are able to advise our customers whether they need to go with this acquisition or merger, or whether it's going to create a sustained liability for them. So those sort of services, so these sort of activities are generally not done at what do you call, at a local or domestic bank level, but then this is done at a global stage. And another major component for our profit is sales, trading, and equity research. So this is like essentially the trades, the stocks that are being traded on the stock exchange. So there's a lot of research that is done behind whether to acquire more shares or whether to get rid of them. These sort of these sort of activities, and this will also include channel checks. For example, if there's a let me give you an example of, suppose if there's a company, um, say IRB, those are that is a company that manages, they collect toll. If you're using the express highways or any highway, they are the people who collect toll. So generally what we do is we analyze the financial statements, the P&L and the balance sheet that uh, they have to periodically release. They have to publish the financials. But apart from that, one additional step that people do in equity research is, like, channel checks. Whether they earn what they state in their financial, is that true or not. And one way of doing it is channel checks, where, suppose if it is a company like IRB that is collecting toll on highways, so the analyst will actually visit without them knowing, and try to calculate the number of vehicles that are passing by every hour. And basis this data, he will create a mathematical model that will project, okay, this is what the actual revenue should be, and this is what it is earning in this given time frame. And basis that, we can correlate whether the financials that has been submitted by the company is actually, does it make sense, or it is inflated, or in that. So that sort of work is also done in investment banking. And apart also, and we also cater to, but that is a very small segment. Retail banking is generally what we call is the branch banking. You actually physically visit uh, a bank and avail the services. But in case of investment bank, the nature of the customers are a bit different. They would be the number of HNIs that we are associated with would be in large in number. HNI is high net worth individuals, and to for this entire system to work, we have our back office and front office, that do all the collaboration so that we can execute these services. So this slide also relates to the previous slide that I mentioned. Um, Essentially, we are like a middleman between companies and investors. So investors have money to invest, and companies require money for their expansion. So we are like the meeting point. We mediate between both of them. Like, okay, these are the clients who want to invest their money, and these are the people who require the funds. So what is the best possible deal between them? So that is facilitated through us. Now, the structure of any investment bank broadly, it is not necessary that all of them are like uh, have the same structure, but this is more of a generalized or very or what I can say, an oversimplified version of the structure. So essentially, we can divide the banking system into three parts. One is the front office, um, then we have the middle office, and then we have the back office. So front office is essentially people who actually deal with the clients, so who are client facing, so who actually talk. So they would be the sales guys, they would be the corporate finance guys who actually go and deal with the customers. Then we have a middle office. So there, in middle office, we generally we in some companies or in some investment banks, even risk management is considered to be a back office operation, but in most of them it is a middle office operation. So whenever you're dealing with money, there's a lot of risk that is involved. There's a lot of counterparty risk. Either the client can back off, or or the investor can back off. Both of them, either one of them can back off. But then this will bring in a risk into the system, right? So we have to manage that risk. So this job, all the risk profile credentials, they are created by the middle office guys. um, and treasury function is what do you call it, the cash management. Like, so all the functions of the bank, for their day-to-day functioning, they require cash, right? So this has to be managed in a way where the entire potential of that cash is utilized. So in a bank, you will never find cash as idle. Okay. So generally, when we have excess money, we put it into our savings account, right, and it remains idle. But in a bank, money never sleeps. In simple terms, we always deploy cash. For example, we have excess money. So the treasury department, the cash management department, will tell us, okay, in this department, in this function, we have excess of cash. Then we deploy that cash maybe into a very short term instrument like money market instrument, or any instrument that will earn us some money. Even if it is not big, it is okay. But the fundamental principle in investment banking is cash can never remain idle. So that task is essentially done by the treasury team. And then we have the back office or the support function. So as I said in that example, a person goes into a person goes
Sorry to interrupt, sir,
yeah.
but your slides are not changing, sir. One first slide is visible, and like means I think so. You're on
uh,
the fourth or fifth slide.
yeah, I'm on the fourth slide. Yeah. Is it
So please
visible now?
change. No, sir. Can you please change your slide? I'm able to see your slide, but it is your first slide.
Oh, I'll just stop sharing and I'll reshare it. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
Okay. How about now?
Sir, able to see your first slide again.
Uh,
So just go. Yeah. Now it is changing, sir.
okay,
Second
okay,
slide.
okay. And understand. Oh, sorry about this. So this is something that I was talking about. Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
okay, okay. So I was speaking about this. Okay, I'm sorry about this. I didn't know that. Um, so essentially, any given investment bank can be divided into the structure of the organization into like three parts: front office, middle office, and the back office. So I was talking about back office. So as I explained in my example, like a person walks into our Singapore branch, he is asking for funding, and we arrange funding for him from a different location, and he knows nothing about it. But all this transaction has to take place complying to all the norms of that specific country. So when we execute a transaction in London, we have to adhere to all the compliance rules that has been put forth by their central bank and their government. So all this compliance related thing is taken care of by the back office, and also the concurrent accounting that has to so all this transaction has to be measured, has to be uh, measured in their books, and also in the books of where in this case it would be Singapore. Like in so it has to be accounted for in all the books where the transaction took place. And and these cannot happen without, I mean, like like maybe 30-35 years ago, things were different. The, these sort of transactions, executing them was very difficult, because the only means of doing them were like telephone, or the capabilities of IT systems were not that good enough. So now it happens at a split of a second. Like it doesn't take much time. Once the order confirmation is done, the execution is like blink of an eye, and everything gets executed. But that wasn't the case, like maybe 30 or 40 years ago, when the IT systems were not that efficient. Most of it was like telephone based confirmation and all that thing. So a lot of efficiency has come into the banking sector, mainly because of the use of technology. And to execute everything, we need resources, and that's where the human resource department will, so they will have to grab the best people in the business, like the people who can manage risk, the people who can execute trade, the front office guys, and the middle office guys, the back office guys. So a very extensive HR department is also active in all the banks. And since this is a lot of resource hungry institution, the reason why investment banks employ a lot of people is because of the complexity uh, of the nature of the transactions. We will have to deal with people that necessarily don't speak maybe English, or their first language would be something else, and for effectively communicating with them, we need a lot of mediators, and no, so a lot of human capital, that's what we call them, is employed in almost all of the investment banks. Now this is again the what you call the career hierarchy in most of the banks. It may not be as simple as this, because there would be a lot of intermediate levels. But I think from your point of view, it may not be very important, but I'll just go through it. So essentially, everyone would start as an analyst, and that is, or maybe before that also, like most of us join us as an intern. Even when I joined in Deutsche Bank, I joined as an intern, and then eventually I became an analyst, and then concurrently we grow up the ladder with experience. So maybe you'll spend like 2-3 years at an analyst role, then another 4-5 years at an associate role, and then eventually there's an AVP role as well in between. So as I said, there would be a lot of intermediate levels as well. But broadly, this is what almost it is common with all the investment banks, that this is how the hierarchy is. So as we go up the ladder, your workload will decrease, but your responsibility will increase. So the responsibility of analyst is very limited as compared to responsibility of a vice president. But that doesn't mean uh, from an execution point of view, analyst will be loaded with a lot of work, but then his responsibility would be limited. But for example, a vice president or a director, he may not know the granular details of every trade or every activity in the organization, but then he has a broader responsibility of all the people below him, as is true with any other organization. That is true for investment banking as well. Now the skills that are required for uh, investment banking. So one of the most important skills is giving meaning to numbers. Day in, day out, we just have numbers and charts in front of us, and we have to give meaning to it, and that's where the skill comes in. Everyone is seeing the same number, but some analyst will think it in a different way, and someone will think it in a different way, a different dimension. And that's how we have this buyers and sellers in the market, right? Because end of the day, it is the same number, but the way we are analyzing it is totally different. People can have different views, and that's how analytical or reasoning skills is one of the most requisite things that we require in in investment banking. And one another thing that is required is, everyone knows about the present, right? The present condition that we are in, and everyone knows what the past has been. And basis this detail, the present and the past, an analyst will try to model things, or he will create a mathematical model base to predict the future. Currently the stock price is this, the past performance of the company has been this, we expect the company to generate this much profit in future, in the coming years, in the first year, in the second year and third year. These are the projected profits, and basis that, the, the stock price will be X in these number of years. And for that reason, whether we need to buy or we need to exit that stock or our investment. So this sort of a mindset is something that is required. And it is never finance guys also. Okay, the entire landscape of investment banking, there are people from different different backgrounds, because it is not always financial or analytical reasoning that is required. You also require networking and negotiation skills. um, if we live in an environment where customers are less, deals are less, and everyone is competing for the same customers and the same deals. So we require good sales guys who can crack the deal for us. For example, um, there's a company, that it wants to raise a lot of capital, and our competitor is offering them this rate, and so we need someone who can negotiate with them and agree to deal with us than our competitor at a better rate. So that sort of a thing. So it's not limited to finance. It's a very wide landscape. People generally think it is only people related to finance work in investment bank, but that's not true. It's people from wide background. So there are HR people, there are marketing guys, there are people from operations, people from law firms. I'll explain that in the coming slides. Now, from your perspective, students' perspective, um, the course knowledge or your core competence has to be like finance, accounting, corporate law. That is a subject. See, as I said, previously I said the landscape is wide, right? But the landscape is wide, but majority of the professionals would be from finance background. There would be some from different backgrounds as well, but it is a mix of everyone. It's not limited to finance, but the core subjects or the likelihood of finance people getting accommodated in this landscape is higher. So you should be well versed with finance, accounting, corporate law, and all this cannot be like earlier, like maybe 20 25 years ago. Everything was Most of the things were manual, right? Like I remember when I came into this industry, like when it was like advanced Excel. If you knew something on advanced Excel, that was enough. That was more than enough. Nothing more was required. You know accounting, finance, you know the basics, your core subjects, plus Excel and some bit of advanced Excel. That also not too advanced. It was okay. But now the things are changing. Now the expectation is like, okay, even if you're a finance guy, you need to know SQL, you need to know Python. It's all about efficiency. It's all about improving the process. So now the expectation has increased, and so if suppose if there are two candidates, one has amazing finance knowledge, but he's not good in technology, and another has average finance knowledge, but he's good in technology. The inclination of the industry as a whole is to accommodate the person who has the technical knowledge, because eventually we can polish him, we can make him good in the financial knowledge. We can bring him up, but then he already has that technical skill that he requires, right? So it will require us less effort to polish such a person. So I'm not saying that you should ignore finance and or you should ignore your core subjects like HR and operations and just focus on technology. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, along with your core subjects, you need to have some bit of I'm not when I'm saying technology, it's not like you should be a hardcore coder or something. No, that is not what is expected, but you should be able to embrace technology. That is the expectation. And apart from that, apart from your our regular university degree, if you have affiliation to professional courses like CFA, FRM, or ACCA, or PMI, then it is always an added advantage, because the competition is really high. Everyone is is wanting to be a part of this industry because it is highly paid. Um, by highly paid, I mean it is paid better than our peers. So that's the reason everyone wants to get into this industry, and that's the reason the competition is really high. And the distinguishing factor would definitely be if you have this professional qualification. Of course, I think for CFA and FRM, you cannot do all the levels at a college level, but I think you can definitely take up a level one or level two. Yeah, and that is what I understand. But this is something you guys need to explore. And please do not please do not invest money into these what do you call this new startups, educational startup. Like, they try to sell you courses that are very expensive, and which has zero industry approval. They they are taking you guys for a ride. Do not apply or subscribe to such courses. It is not, the industry doesn't approve it. What is approved is these professional qualifications that I have mentioned. I have also given up some links, where if you are if you're interested in accounting side of it, you can, maybe join some courses under ACCA, or GARP is GARP. That is where you can study financial risk management. You know, so as I said, due to the complexities of the nature of our work, we have to undertake a lot of risk, and all the risk assessment. If you have to be so this essentially, if you have a certification from GARP, you can work as a financial risk professional, or a financial risk manager. So that is GARP. And CFA is the toughest of all. Between these two, CFA is the toughest and also quite expensive as well. But definitely, I think it requires some experience for you to be eligible to apply to level 2 and level 3. But at your level, at university postgrad level, I think you can attempt level 1, and that is what I understand, level 1. But very, very valuable, very, very. So this is CFA is where you so if you are CFA certified, you get into what you call mm, portfolio management. The cream of investment banking, where you're evaluating projects, you're evaluating investment opportunities. Very, very sorted affiliation. CFA Institute. So I've given the links. If you are interested, you can read more about it. They also have some very short-term courses, but the main ones are uh, still valuable and very respected in the industry. Now coming back to the talent pool. So in IB or investment banking, as I mentioned earlier, things are not limited to finance guys. It is not limited to finance guys. We have a talent pool that has, renowned economists, finance guys, law, human resource guys, and all our systems cannot work without technology. So we hire the best people in technologies, and also from humanities and social sciences. So essentially, we are bound by law to do CSR activities, right? So we need people who have the skills. So by humanities and social sciences, generally they would be people who have masters and what do you call what is that, social sciences. uh, I forgot the word. There's a specific term for it. Anyway, I'll get back on that. And also marketing guys, so the entire dynamics is a mix of everyone. It is people from engineering background, from human, from HR background, from people who are very good with law, corporate law, international law, because all the transactions are not taking place within India. It is partly in India, partly abroad, partly in jurisdictions that, for example, one of the best examples I can give you is, like, recently there were a lot of sanctions on Russia, right? So when those sanctions were applied by United Nations and um, US and European countries, so we had to take the expertise of lawyers, who were who were efficient in international laws to understand what is the meaning of these sanctions and what dealings we can do with Russia and we cannot do with Russia. That sort of a landscape is what is involved in this, and human resource guys, with a very important part of our culture. They are the ones who hire the best talent for us, and so generally, if some of you are taking HR as a specialization, and if there are two candidates, like uh, one knows nothing about how the global financial system works, and another person who has taken HR specialization, but he or she understands how financial systems work. So naturally, the preference would be to hire the second person, like. mm, and marketing guys, they are like the front runners. They are the people who actually deal. They are the client facing people who actually, they initiate the deal. The background work on the deal may be done by the economic finance guys, and all the calculations and projections, that all would be done by the finance guys. But the face, the people who actually meet the clients, they would essentially be, from the marketing background. So it's not limited to. So generally we have this notion that if you have to work in an investment bank, it is only people from finance background that are eligible to work. That is not the case. It has investment banking has diverse the most diverse talent pool. You have completely people from totally different backgrounds, because we always require that different perspective, and so people from all backgrounds are encouraged. However, like, the proportion would be less. It would be more of finance and economics background guys, and less of the other people. And also technology. But I think since you guys are doing MBA, I presume that is a totally different sector for you. But technology is like an enabler. Like, without all these complex trading systems and MIS systems, we won't be able to function. So we also hire a lot of technology, real high end stuff. And finally, AI. Whatever your skills are, whether it is finance, economics, uh, law, marketing, you have to be in. Now the requirement has totally changed in the last, maybe after the pandemic, like, a lot of investments into AI. So earlier, like, I used to compete with with humans. I think in the next 2 3 years, it won't be like humans anymore. It would be more of machines. But so this is where you have to have an open mindset and accept that this is a change. And probably it's not that negative. Probably it's not, because there are a lot of user case studies that we are doing, and a lot of our competitors are doing. So not essentially in India, but in countries like Japan or in Europe. They are thinking on a different level. They are thinking on the lines, what if we use AI and reduce the number the number of working days from 5 to 4. So people are thinking on those lines as well. But mostly in our country, we think it as a threat. uh, it might cause unemployment, and all the people are thinking on those lines. It is true that a lot of mundane or monotonous jobs might be impacted, but then there's a different line of thought where I think AI can or may enable a better work-life balance by reducing the number of working days in a week. Still, still very early to say, because right now we are just using it for capturing minutes of the meeting or some data mining stuff. But then there are a lot of investment that is going into this. Um, so companies won't invest unless they are convinced there's something they can get back from it. So this is something you have to open your minds to. Apart from your regular college and your professional affiliations that you plan, or certifications that you plan to do, you need to keep at the back of your mind, okay, that we need to be AI enabled as well. I think with that I would conclude, and these are names of some investment banks. Probably you can search or know more about them. But I think the main thing would be this, that you need to focus on. I think with that, I would like to conclude and take up any questions if you have. Hello.
Yes, sir. We will keep open for 2 to 3 minutes. If
Okay.
anyone has the questions, kindly can post it into the Q&A session. A student feedback link has been shared with you in the chat box. Request you all to kindly fill it up because your attendance will be marked according to that. And in case of any kind of questions that you would like to interact with the guest, kindly post it into the chat. Raju. Okay. Anushka, I'm posting it into the chat box, webinar chat. Please check it out. Are you able to see the link? The link is into the chat box. I have shared it once again. Sir, there are no questions from the students, so I think so we can conclude the session for the day.
Okay. No problem.
Yeah, a small vote of thanks from my side, sir. On behalf of School of Management at PCET Pimpri Chinchwad University, I, Dr. Saili Karande, extend my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Jimmy Joseph at, for delivering such a thought-provoking and insightful session on Introduction to Investment Banking. Your expertise and clear articulation of the core functions, emerging trends, and global dimensions of investment banking have truly enriched our understanding. You not only helped us to appreciate the technical and strategic aspect of this field, but also inspired many of us to explore a career in this dynamic industry. We are really thankful for this, sir. And we are deeply grateful to Dr. Amit Patil, sir, Dean, and the entire team of the School of Management for organizing and guiding this pre-induction masterclass series with such a dedication. We are thankful to all the faculty members of School of Management, PCU, for their valuable support and efforts, with a special thanks to Executive Director Dr. Girish Desai, sir, Vice Chancellor Dr. Govind Kulkarni, sir, Pro Vice Chancellor Dr. Sudeep Thepre, sir. A big thank you to all the participants for their active involvement and enthusiasm throughout the session. Your presence has made this event more meaningful. Let us carry forward the knowledge shared today and continue striving for excellence in our academic and professional journey. Thank you once again, and we look forward to more such sessions from you, sir, in the future.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, all of you. Yeah. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah. Students, we have the next session immediately by Prajakta ma'am. So I request you all to be present into the webinar. I'm posting the link once again, students. Please check it out. Just give me a moment. Maybe because of technical issue, you are not able to see it. I will change the setting and I'm resharing the link. Just give me a moment. Students, please check it out. I have shared the link, feedback link, and I think so it has been seen to everyone. Please check it. Okay, Anushka. Okay, fine. Thank you for the confirmation. Yeah, Anushri, thank you. Prajakta madam.
Good afternoon, students. We are having the another session for the day. We will be starting in a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, you can take a very short break. Do not leave the meeting, but we will be starting in a couple of minutes. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another session of Masterclass series conducted by School of Management, Pimpri Chinchwad University. For the next session, we are delighted to welcome Ms. Prajakta Shinde, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah, thank you. An accomplished supply chain professional, currently serving as manager, global supply chain at Lupin Limited, Mumbai, with a strong academic background in pharmacy and management from the University of Mumbai. Madam Prajakta brings over 6 years of rich experience across renowned pharmaceutical companies such as Cipla, Cadila Pharmaceuticals, Intas Pharma, Ajanta Pharma, etc. Her expertise lies in demand planning, S&OP, strategic long-range planning, and supply chain analytics. She is a certified Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt in recipient of prestigious Under 30 Supply Chain Superstar 2021 award by Celerity Magazine. Madam Prajakta is also a passionate learner, a passionate reader, and a trained Kathak dancer. We look forward to gaining values insights from her today. With this, I welcome Prajakta ma'am to Pimpri Chinchwad University. And without further delay, now I'm handing over this masterclass to Prajakta ma'am. Ma'am, meeting is all yours.
Thank you so much, madam. So, you have already introduced me, so I would just add in to all. I want this to go as a two-way interaction. So I think the chats are on. So students who all are listening to me can interact on the chat box. Also, my one request to you all is I have a presentation ready, which normally corporate people do have. But if you feel that it should be more of a question answer session in the starting only, then also we can start in that way because what Prutha madam and Rajiv sir has briefed me, all these are new joinees in MBA.
Right.
So I wish to understand what kind of inclusivity or curiosity they carry all through and what they want to understand from industry mentors like us.
Um, Ma'am, that is chat box is open and students are interacting as and when they feel like asking anything, they will be doing it. So, but I would request if you can put your PPT so it would be like they would be able to understand more. Sometimes there is a network issue and they might not be able to listen you properly in case if they are not having proper signals. So it would be helpful.
Okay, I will share my screen. Where is the screen sharing option in Zoom? Because I'm not. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, ma'am. Your PPT is visible.
So, supply chain in pharmaceutical industry. First, let me start with bifurcating each word over here, targeting the word management. So, to all listeners, I would like to say management is itself a description of managing myself, that is, manage me and management. Not in gender specific manner, but a management student or a management personnel is one who is able to get out work done from handful of people, different type of stakeholders. These stakeholders can be at a very senior level. They can also be your juniors or subordinates. Some might be highly qualified or board members wherein you need to present your things or present your work in a very crisp and concise way. Some might be power plant level personals, the cleaning guys, the housekeeping staff, wherein you need to convey the message properly, whatever work it is related. So that's what management goes about. And supply chain is what in any manufacturing industry, specifically to manufacturing industry, whatever the demand is there, how is that demand serviced? This is how a supply chain works out. So, 20 years back, in any manufacturing industry, supply chain was not the term which was used. It was PPIC or production planning and inventory control. So, these were the guys who used to have details of all raw material and packaging material or any inventory related details which goes for manufacturing, and they made sure that the planning was done in such a way that it suffices the market demand. Eventually, since the market dynamics has shifted, so this word supply chain management has been uh, replaced, and all the functions which were first discreted, like the procurement function, logistics, supply planning, demand planning, all these were integrated under a particular name, supply chain, in many of the Indian manufacturing companies. So, this is just a brief about the topic. Moving further, this is slide about me, which Madam has already told you all. Just one thing I wish to tell you all is when I joined my MBA, I also was not very clear which specialization I will be taking in. So you might be in that situation maybe currently. And I hope as we move further in this presentation, it helps you out to at least identify what operations as a subject is all about. So moving further, see, this is a brief flow of how supply chain process is, it happens in the industry. And I have tried to make this much more pictorial, not keeping it as a formal business presentation, because I knew that my audience will not be in a state currently to understand business review PPTs. So let us start with something which we are familiar with. So supply chain, it starts from market and ends also at market. What happens is there's a demand which is generated in market. Let's come to an example of COVID. So during COVID, when in December 19, the Wuhan virus started to spread across the countries outside China, then in the first quarter of the next year, that is from Jan to March, the demand for hydrochlorothiazide, it spiked in each and every region. And India was a sole supplier of this molecule because we had the companies which manufacture this particular molecule. So now there was a demand from market since the virus was spreading to control the fever, because COVID fever was having a characteristic of malarial fever. That's why to control that particular fever, we used a molecule known as hydrochlorothiazide. At that time,
अचानक से this molecule, the demand spiked in. So as a supply chain person working in a pharmaceutical supply chain, our job was to make sure that the materials are available, the raw material, packing material are available. So what happened is, this is the my market. From here, we got demand for hydrochlorothiazide. Then further, we had to process for the planning of this material. We got the demand, suppose say in month of January, and anyhow we need to, since this was a emergency request, we have to service the market immediately. Then we further moved on with planning for this. So what plan was to be done? Suppose there was a requirement of around 10 lakh tablets of hydrochlorothiazide, for example, HCTZ to be more specific. So if there is a demand of 10 lakh tablets, which is equivalent to 10 batches of a particular material product, uh, this is an example number. So what I'll do is I'll start as a planner, as a supply chain person, we'll start planning for supplying this order by March. In that, now there are indents and purchase order raised, discussions with vendors which happen to procure the raw material and packing material for this particular product. And since it was a COVID time, uh, what we have to do is every industry was working on 33% of its capacity. For example, if the output is of 100 kg, but since it was since not all employees were present at that time due to some or the other reason, the output reduced to 33% of it. Then we moved on with procuring the materials. Then inbound logistics. Inbound logistics is your material or that thing is ready at the supplier's end. And then you need to adjust with the inbound this thing. You need to bring that material to your company. So what happened is, so during COVID, the reason I'm giving this example is this is more relatable. So during COVID, there were certain issues with logistics. Like you might have heard that the trucks were stopped, or within states transfer, like a truck which has moved from a supplier who is at Sikkim, and it has to come to Aurangabad in Maharashtra for getting manufactured. That particular raw material has come all the way to Sikkim, crossing 7 states in between. So everywhere generating passes and all. So this is what inbound logistic team does. They give approvals and whatever custom related documents or logistics related documents are required for the trucks to pass from to have an interstate transfer from one this to another this. For even there are certain products like alcohol or something like which are banned in states like Gujarat and Bihar. So when you are doing a material movement of alcohol as a raw material, because we have methanol, ethanol, which are being used in pharmaceutical products. So when you are doing a movement of these materials within the states or like Gujarat or Bihar, when that particular product is banned, at that time also inbound logistics, or sometimes it is known as importing, their work comes in to get that particular permissions or to find a logistics transporter who is well versed with supplying your material in those regions. Now come to production. So once your material reaches to the factory, then it is being manufactured as per the batch manufacturing process and all. And once your product, the final FG is manufactured, it undergoes quality testing. This quality testing can be internal quality testing within the company, and in some cases it can be outside or third party quality testing, because there are certain tests for some materials which cannot be done internally. They need an approval from an outside third party lab. That is the reason the quality testing happens over there. Once your product passes the standards of quality, then the quality assurance team, it releases your product, and that is now ready for dispatch. So when you are dispatching it, even if it is a local dispatch within India or outside India, there are different different things or different parameters which you need to follow. Per se, you are dispatching this hydrochlorothiazide to US market. Then your warehouse team has to place the shippers of this product in such a way on the pallet that they do not during transportation your product is not damaged. That is also an art or technique, and there are different types of palletization available, like UK palletization, Euro palletization, US palletization. So if this product is going to US, it will follow the standards and say the sizing of US palletization. So once your product is ready, the ship, in within the shipper, all the product is being packed, the batch number, the label, the destination address, and everything is posted on it. Then some of the customers, like in US also, we have some customers. What they do, they will send their own inspectors. Either they will outsource it from that particular country wherein they are getting the supply. Well, if we are supplying from India, they'll try to send a lab person from another third party to inspect this palletized material. Imagine after QA release also your palletized material has to get inspected. So once that inspection is done, once the approval is received, the customer will then ask us to dispatch the material. So from your factory to a container, the container is, you might have seen this truck. So the container may be of different sizes, like 20-footer container, 40-footer container, reefer container. So in this container, your material is dispatched. It goes to custom clearance to the nearest port. It might be seaport or airport, depending upon the requirement and urgency to dispatch the material. Now, since I mentioned it was COVID time and we have to dispatch this material on priority, it will go by air. Because when you dispatch any shipment by air to US, it will reach within 6 to 7 days. While if you dispatch it by sea, it will take a month to reach US market. So so on the port, once your goods reach, they undergo custom clearance. Each and every procedure after palletization is handled by our logistics team, which is export logistic team. Then as decided through a freighter. Freighter is the aircraft which carries only goods, commodity goods, and not passengers. So through freighter or through ship, your material is dispatched, and then it reaches the market. Not directly the market, the port over there. Then that import permit and getting your material inside the country. Within that country, it is done by the custom team or the logistic team, which is based out at the particular location. Then again, this particular order which we have received, it is distributed in the market, utilized by people. Again, demand is generated, and same cycle keeps on following. So now, I think this might be a bouncer to all. I'm just looking at the chat box. If there are any doubts or any questions, if you have to me, or do I need to be slower with the explanation? No messages? It means either you have understood the whole process or you haven't understood anything. Hello. Gaurav, Anushri, are you all able to see, understand what I am trying to explain? I am just checking who all are attending. Shrutika, Aditi, Prachi, Sanika. Actually, I'm not able to see any messages over here.
Ma'am, not even single?
No, I am not. I'm able to see only Anushri's message saying yes, ma'am. There are no doubts, I think. No one has any doubt in this. My job has become easy.
Yeah, your job is easy then. Yeah.
So, this slide which I presented, this is the only crux, and I mean to say it is
Yeah.
a summary of what happens in supply chain. Going further, everything can be we can say in detail we can try to understand it, which may be a part of your curriculum. And the reason I'm trying to spend more time on this slide is because this is the gist of everything. If there's any doubt or anything which you want to understand, it can be easily explained through this process. I think there are no messages on this.
मेरा वैसे भी तो खर्चा होने वाला है, बच्चे मुझे छोड़ेंगे नहीं, तो अभी से शुरू हो गया है। क्या इंटरेस्ट से ये ड्रेस वो ड्रेस का डिजाइन निकाल के रखे है और अभी शुरू हो जाएंगे जाएंगे तो लेंगे आउटफिट लेना है
लेंगे ही बच्चे नहीं करेंगे तो वहां करेगा।
Rishikesh, do you want to say something by market demanding? Okay, fine. Then we shall move to the next slide. I hope it is visible. So we assume that you all have understood the process. Then
let's go into detail.
Okay, so we can get into more details now. So first is demand planning. Since I have been doing demand planning from last 7 years, I wish to take more time on this slide.
लोकतंत्र लिखना नहीं आता।
Arpita Chavan is saying why supply chain management
छिड़ गया ना war Thailand और
Cambodia।
So, if you could just mute your mic, it will be helpful.
मंदिर है पुराना, जैसे वहाँ पे अंकुर वट का मंदिर है ना विष्णु जी का। पहली बात तो वो कहते हैं ये बुद्धिस्ट मंदिर है पहले।
Madam, if you could just mute your system, it will be helpful.
कंबोडिया ने एक जो उस पे आता है ना बॉर्डर पे एक मंदिर, उसको यूनेस्को हेरिटेज साइट के लिए उसने एप्लीकेशन दिया था कि उसको यूनेस्को हेरिटेज साइट बनाते हैं। तो इनको प्रॉब्लम है कि ये आपका कहाँ से हो गया।
Madam, if you could just mute your system, it will be helpful.
बॉर्डर पे चल रहा है,
कहीं झगड़ा चल रहा है, कहीं से आग लग रही है।
अभी रशिया में 50 लोग प्लेन क्रैश हुआ ना, देखा।
Okay, so Arpita, the answer to your question is why supply chain management important is it starts with demand and suffices your demand. So nowadays you will be having Blinkit and Zepto. Companies like Blinkit and Zepto, which service your order within 10 to 20 minutes of time. Do we have such companies? So what these companies help us is they are delivering the product within less time. And that is the reason wherein the role of your supply chain comes into picture. Because as I have mentioned on the slide, it starts with demand and ends at the demand. I hope you have got the answer of your question.
मेरे समझ में नहीं इसमें है क्या ऐसा। मैं देर से पूछ भी रही थी कल, क्या इसमें ऐसा क्या है।
Siddhi madam, if you could just mute.
स्टोरी बनता ऐसा सुना है।
कुछ भी नहीं।
अरे
सुसाइड करना
आजकल वैसे इंटेंस लव स्टोरीज नहीं आती ना, बच्चों को क्या ही पता है।
अरे फिर हमारे टाइम की लव स्टोरीज देखेंगे तो क्या करेंगे लोग,
वो तो उनको ड्रामा लगते हैं।
Thank you, Arpita. I hope I was able to answer your question in this new sense.
वो लोनलीनेस हमारे टाइम के में ये वाली चीजें नहीं होती थी। हमारे में वो दुख है, उसको दारू पीने लग गया, दुख हो गया या उसने सेक्रीफाइस कर दिया, वैसा कुछ ये वाली चीज
Any other questions from
बच्चे
students?
रिलेट कर पा रहे हैं, तो वही तो दिखा रहे हैं कि जो 16 से 20 साल के 24 साल के बच्चे हैं उनको बहुत रो रहे हैं इसको देख के वो। हाँ, उसके ऊपर वाले कह रहे हैं ये क्या बकवास है, और हमारी एज के तो सो रहे हैं जाके थिएटर में। ऐसा है। 3 टाइप के रिएक्शन है। क्या किससे बात कर।
Thank you, Dipti madam, for muting your system. Actually, I was requesting it from last 5-10 minutes to mute your system. So, okay. Coming back to our PPT to all the students. So, demand planning is what wherein you give a particular number to the plant for planning, a planning purpose. Like if you say in a product you need to manufacture 1 lakh packs in this month, then that particular number is being followed by plant. कि कितना quantity कितना manufacture करना है, this is told by a demand planner. So there are 2 types of demand planning. One is make to stock, which is completely based on forecast, and one is make to order, which is basis on order. So we'll start with make to stock. If you have a product which is being sold in market day in and day out, for example, you get different kinds of product in DMart. So at that time, every DMart has to stock up that product. We can say a Tropicana juice. The Tropicana juice ka each and every flavor in a particular quantity has to be stocked up in each and every branch of DMart, correct? So how much quantity has to be stocked up, all those calculation, then if the product is stocked up, what is the shelf life it is having? It shouldn't happen that your material is expired and it is still lying at the shelf or it is still in the market. So this demand planning team, it helps you to calculate the demand in such a way that it considers all these 8 parameters which are mentioned over here. So make to stock में क्या होता है ना? When we come to pharmaceutical business, whatever products are supplied into your India market, for example, Lupin ka Aptivate, Crocin from GSK, or any drug which is being supplied, उसका एक forecast मिलता है sales team से. So this forecast which we get from the sales team, on basis of that we generate a demand. Example, your salesperson is saying, I will be selling 10,000 units per month of this particular product. तो 10,000, 10,000, 10,000 ऐसा आपका 12 months का demand उन्होंने दिया है for this particular month. What you as a demand planner will think is, when you go to manufacture, the batch size of this product is 15,000. So you have to at least manufacture 15,000 in minimum against the demand of 10. What you will do is, how you will put the demand? 2 batches in 1 month, 2 batches after 3 months. मतलब अगर आपका डिमांड है 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, ऐसे 30,000 का डिमांड in 3 months, what you will do is, in month of August you will put 2 batches, that is 30,000. Then after a gap of 2 more months, you will again in September, October में आप कुछ नहीं डिमांड करोगे. फिर नवंबर में you will put a demand of 2 months. Understood? Why you are doing this? Because you don't want to stock up the inventory at the plant also. Again, if there is some inventory at the market, that particular market has a particular type of shelf life. So that particular inventory has a shelf life. So when you are thinking that market demand is 30,000 for this particular cotton, I am supplying 30,000 to over. Okay? But there will be something inventory which is getting expired. तो वो भी तो आपको supply करना पड़ेगा ना? Suppose, say, take layman example. Take example at your home. You have brought fruits on Sunday. कि ये सोच के Thursday तक खा लोगे. उसमें से थोड़े से fruits खराब हो गए. So you need to replace it on Wednesday, na? So that on Thursday, whatever demand is there, that has to be serviced. This is how shelf life expiry comes into picture. Then inventory optimization. Inventory optimization क्या होता है? That amount of inventory should be such a way that when financial calculations are done, because of this inventory, your profit doesn't reduce. Easy way में अगर समझाना है तो I'll tell you, if your capacity of storing those foods in your refrigerator is of 1 kg, you cannot overboard it. So उससे ज्यादा तो नहीं सप्लाई कर सकते आप. That is the reason हम according to the demand planner's plan, this inventory should be in optimized way. There are different tricks, methods, parameters, which are algorithms which are used to maintain the inventory. Then there is a capacity mapping. I know that my plant can manufacture only 100 batches per month. So you cannot overboard the plant. Whatever plan or numbers the demand planner is giving need to be around 100 to 120. Why? Because we cannot bombard any plant with higher amount of demand. That anyhow they will not be able to service it. And then major confusion will be if they have 100 batches capacity and 150 has to be supplied, then what has to be prioritized from that 150? That is where capacity mapping, agility, market dynamics come into picture. Then coming to 6th point, safety stock maintenance. ये हमने हमारे घरों में भी देखा होगा. Safety stock, we our mothers who are, I would quote here, they are the best inventory managers. So what they do is, certain times they stock up some dals or something for 2 months and 3 months. मतलब जब भी वो कोई grocery shop में या DMart में वगैरह they go for shopping, what they do, they don't take 1 month. What they think is, अरे चलो यहाँ पे सस्ता मिल रहा है, what we'll do is 2 महीने का तो लेके रखते हैं. Why do we stock up inventory? Just to avoid any kind of insurgency or urgent कोई requirement आता है, कोई मेहमान आते हैं, or there is a party which you are throwing forward and 50 people are coming up, तो वहां पे तो आपको एक inventory में stock चाहिए ना. This is how pharma company also does. Once your requirement is of 10,000 per month, they'll stock up some inventory as a safety stock. So what will happen is, if the safety stock is of 5,000 against your requirement of 10, once the market sales once the stock level goes below 5,000, you will again procure that much quantity. Suppose the stock level is 3,000, so again 2,000 ka procurement hoga to maintain that safety stock of 5,000. So this is one of the parameters which MTS demand planner has to target. Next is warehousing cost. Then it is serviceability index. All these are actually these are in-depth topics which cannot be explained in much detail as of now. So I'm just putting in the pointers so that you are aware with the jargons or the words which are being used. Then coming to the MTO or make to order market. So make to order market is a market wherein you don't keep on producing goods continuously. They are produced on basis of order. If there is an order, then only we produce the goods. So at that time, what happens is there is uncertainty of demand which the market faces, and mostly make to order businesses operates into tenders. So in pharma also, we are having different kind of tenders which are released by Indian government or governments of any other country for procuring certain medicines. For example, you might be seeing that we have hospitals of municipal corporations wherein iron supplements are supplied, or folic acid and some other supplements which are given for free. मेडिसिन फ्री में मिलता है, बट कभी ये सोचा है कि वो जो मेडिसिन जो कंपनी प्रोवाइड कर रहा है वो हॉस्पिटल को कहाँ से आता है, उसका सप्लाई चेन क्या है. So that is dependent on tenders which are given by the government of India. So a particular quantity or amount is decided by these government tenders, and then they procure it in bulk and distribute within different hospitals in the country. For example, anti-TB के लिए DOTS medicine you might have heard. DOTS करके एक medicine program जो है which our Indian government is running. So the medicines which are procured under that policy, they are dispatched to different CFAs and stockists at different cities in India. If it is a west region, they are dispatched to Mumbai, Pune, Ahmedabad. if it is northeast region, then in Darjeeling or somewhere in other countries, these medicines are supplied, and then through that stockist where the medicine is supplied, from that stockist it is distributed to different hospitals in that area. So this is how a tender business work, and it is mostly order based business. There is no forecasting, no procurement before order. So whenever a demand planner is working for MTO market, he is dealing with a major problem, which is of demand uncertainty. He doesn't know how much quantity has to be produced. He has to wait for the tender to get released, and once it is released, within 30 to 90 days, you have to supply the order. So again, that back end planning has to be done. So I think is it okay till now, or should we any questions from anyone?
Students, if you have questions, you can write in chat box. We can consider, ma'am, no questions.
Okay, so I hope now demand planning you at least have an idea what demand planner does. Coming to supply planning team is based out at the plants. So if the demand planner, suppose they have given that 10,000 per forecast for month for that particular product, what supply planning team will do is they'll check if the materials are available, they'll do the planning. Sometimes the plant
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. There is a question from Arpita Chavan. I don't know whether you are able to see it or not.
Wait 1 second.
Shall I read the question?
Yeah, she is saying how are new product introductions incorporated into demand plan?
Demand plan.
Wow, the quality of question is so good, Arpita. I really appreciate you. So see, new product are dependent upon the launch quantities in the market. Suppose you're trying to launch a new product against a competitor. So what is done is the forecast is calculated on basis of certain percentage of competitors' sales. That means if competitor is selling 100 units for that product, you try to capture 10% of his market share. So utna quantity is planned, and then we supply it to market. And incorporating into demand plan is as usual process. I mean, जैसे बाकी प्रोडक्ट्स प्लान करते हैं वैसे ही किया जाता है. द मेन थिंग इज हाउ मच क्वांटिटी हैज टू बी सप्लाइड, दैट इज कैलकुलेटेड बाय मार्केट एक्सीलेंस. I hope this is clear to you, Apita. Thank you. So, moving back to our supply planning. Supply planning, I have already mentioned that these are the people who sit at the plant, and they look after the inventory levels of the raw materials which go into your planning. So main thing which they do is material requirement planning. So ये rough cut capacity planning, annual production scheduling, ये सब भी किया जाता है, but this is against budget and these are wider concept. So we will directly jump to material requirement planning. So whatever finished goods I need to manufacture, for example, I have to manufacture Crocin. Crocin में the API goes paracetamol, फिर caffeine होता है. So what all materials are required? I'm saying that I need 2 batches of Crocin for this month. So whatever material goes into it, they are being procured by this supply planner. So and after that, once the material reaches the plant, they do production scheduling. Production scheduling is you need to tell the production team also which product has to be supplied after what. For example, first you will line up Crocin, उसके बाद में betadine, उसके बाद में any other tablet which has to be supplied. So all this planning is done by supply planning team. There are certain concepts which they take into consideration. These are capacity mapping, production planning, then campaign runs. Sometimes what happens is your production team, they don't manufacture one batch for that particular product. एक बार batch start कर दिया तो they need number of batches. that is campaign product. They need minimum 3 batches for that product, 4 batches. Because what happens is when you are manufacturing in bulk, the output or the productivity of the plant increases. And for plant, that is the KRA. That is the reason supply planners help us in campaign run. So when I told you कि 10,000, 10,000, 10,000 ऐसा आपका डिमांड है, फिर भी आई एम पुटिंग 2 batches in August, 2 batches in September. Why? So why we are doing it? Just to suffice the plant's requirement of campaign run, plus checking on the inventory that the inventory levels at the market do not rise, wherein our carrying cost also increases. This is how the planning is done. Then there's a concept known as runner, repeater, stranger. These all is ABC analysis and all. All these you will be covering into your operations curriculum. So I am not going into much detail. Then coming to procurement. See, now you know how demand is made, how supply is done, how supply is done against it. So अभी वो मटेरियल जो हम बोल रहे हैं, हाउ इट इज प्रोक्योर्ड, उसका भी कंसेप्ट है. देयर इज अ टीम सिटिंग ओवर देयर which takes the requirement. For example, in Procin, I'm saying paracetamol goes as an API. So you, as per your supply planning ka calculation, they need 50 kg of paracetamol for this month's supply. That 50 kg ka requirement will go to procurement team. Then this procurement team will discuss with the vendor and they'll bring in the API which is required. This is just an example. There are multiple materials which procurement team brings in, but this is an example which I am giving. So now 50 kg ka requirement hai, but the vendor says no, my MOQ is minimum order quantity. It is 250 kgs. You have to either take 250 kg or either I will not supply to you. So then this procurement team brings in API of 250 kg, considering the shelf life and all. This material is then stored at the plant. So there are different clauses in it. Every material ka MOQ is different. So this is the procurement team which is working in mostly in pharma companies, works on different parameters like commercial material sourcing, then contract manufacturing. Contract manufacturing, to give you details about this, not all products are manufactured by Lupin. I'm working in Lupin, that's why I'm giving you example. All products in market which are going by a name of Lupin are not manufactured by them. There are certain manufacturing units, small manufacturing units, जहाँ से हम ये product बना के लेते हैं and market करते हैं Lupin के नाम से. They are contract manufacturing. Then we have loan license manufacturing. So loan license manufacturing are also same thing. They make the product, give it to us, and then we market it by our brand name. But the difference between contract manufacturing and loan license is all about materials. Contract manufacturer procures the raw material on his own. Loan license manufacturer we need to give the material. So the procurement team of Lupin will do the raw material procurement for loan manufacturing sites also. Then there is principal to principal. That means the final FG or the final products is being directly procured. यहाँ पे सेकेंड एंड थर्ड पॉइंट में तो एटलीस्ट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करके फिर हम प्रोक्योर करते थे, यहाँ पे डायरेक्टली एफजी प्रोक्योर कर रहे हैं विथ लुपिन का लेबल. नेक्स्ट पैरामीटर विच कम्स इन प्रोक्योरमेंट, alternate vendor development. Example, if there is a supplier and they are supplying properly, but there comes some audit or something due to which the manufacturing plant of the supplier is closed. You don't get the material. You don't have that paracetamol available from the supplier. You'll obviously look for another supplier. There may be, suppose, the dairy from where you bring the milk every day, that is closed for a day. Obviously, you'll go to another dairy to procure the milk, right? Or you will not have milk. ऐसा तो नहीं है ना. So this alternate vendor development is also one of the parameter which comes under procurement. Then there comes strategic sourcing. Strategic sourcing is mostly for new products, because when new products are launched, there are certain parameters that the new vendors have to be found out and all. So that is the reason this team exists. Then there's one team which only works on auditing your vendors. There's one team which has expertise of legal knowledge. These are basically from law background, and they prepare annual contracts with the vendors or long-term agreements with the vendors. And there's one team basically having a financial base which looks after the savings part. That is, savings is also a certain percentage of KRA for procurement. So this is how it goes. I hope procurement is more easier to understand than supply planning. Okay, so no questions. So I think we can move forward. Then coming to logistics. So logistics is basically transportation of our goods. It might be inbound or outbound. Inbound is materials which come from vendor to the plant. Outbound is from plant to the market. So this logistic team, it works on order processing, then custom documentation, then transporting and routing. Transportation and routing is like uh, recently there was a war, India and Pakistan ka war. So the plants which are working in Jammu, since there was blackout, uh, some plants were closed for few days. So क्या हुआ था at that time much of the trucks and trucks which are carrying the raw materials were diverted to different routes in Haryana and other areas. At that time this logistic team was working on routing. Means when the plant opened up after the blackout, they had to search where the truck was and then divert it to different routes because not all routes were open to the plant. So this is how the transportation and routing happens. I give you an example of war situation. There might be situation like famine, floods. So at that time also logistics comes into picture. Next part which they work is on warehousing. Suppose your plant's warehouse is full, not all inventory can be stored in it. Then they look for a central warehouse wherein all the like JWL and all, wherein all the inventory can be stored properly before dispatching. Then there's one concept of reverse logistics. See, reverse logistic in pharma is too minimal, but when you see of other sectors like e-commerce, Amazon में तो हम आए दिन parcel return करते रहते हैं. So that is your reverse logistics. It means what? You deliver the order to the customer finds some issue or wants to return you the order, then you have to again go back to the customer and bring your product back. So reverse logistics we see with our Amazon, Flipkart and these delivery platforms to a much more extent. एंड सेविंग्स ये तो हमेशा सबका पार्ट होता ही है कि जितना तुम लॉजिस्टिक्स का खर्चा करते हो उसमें सेविंग कितना किया. सो दिस इज वन ऑफ द पैरामीटर व्हिच लॉजिस्टिक टीम वर्क्स ऑन. So we are done with procurement, supply planning and demand planning. So I think we have covered major of the supply chain part. Any questions or any doubt or any comments which you want to share, you can share it. I'm available for an open answering question round.
Students, if you have any questions, you can again write in the chat box. Your questions will be answered.
I think so.
Something very interesting. If you have any questions, you can go ahead.
I don't get the difference between supply planning and demand planning. Avishkar. Okay, so Avishkar, let's take a real life example at home. You tell your mother to make something for you, चलो आज कुछ बोलो कि मेरे लिए ये बना दो. That is your demand. And you say my 5 friends are coming, make so and so dish. That is your demand, correct? Mom being your mom, I mean mother being a mother, she will always make more. The supply she will try as per the capacity, as per the available materials in the house, she'll make it, correct? So that's the gap between demand and supply. So when you take it to industry sector, suppose the demand, डीमार्ट में आपको एक पर्टिकुलर जूस का और 100 बॉक्सेस का डिमांड है फ्रॉम डिमांड. But as per your packaging configuration in that particular shipper समझते हैं जो ब्राउन कलर का बॉक्स आता है, in that particular shipper 12 units are there. So against your requirement of 100, you will procure 10 boxes of 12 units. Understood? So that's where demand and supply is different. Your demand was 100 boxes, but you got a supply of 120 boxes. Or to the other side, you can get lesser supply also. So 12 जूसेस का एक बॉक्स जो एक बड़ा बॉक्स आपने 10 प्रोक्योर किया, उसकी जगह 9 भी आ सकता है या फिर उसकी जगह 7 भी आ सकता है. दैट्स वेयर द गैप कम्स इन. आई होप दिस इज क्लियर. ओके. So, no questions from anyone? Then shall we close the session if you all are okay with it?
Yeah, okay, ma'am. If there are no questions, we should definitely close the session.
Yes.
So officially, I'm here to propose the vote of thanks. Once again, I must say, session was really very interesting, and the examples given by you, ma'am, were very relatable. So, and I apologize from my side that during the session I've simply skipped the muting part of this thing when I received one call. So I'm very sorry for the inconvenience happened because of that thing. On behalf of Pimpri Chinchwad University and School of Management, I would like to express a heartfelt gratitude to everyone present here today. First and foremost, I would like to extend a special thanks to our esteemed speaker, Ms. Prajakta Shinde from Lupin Limited, for taking the time to be with us today and sharing such insightful knowledge on the topic of pharmaceutical supply chain. Your expertise and experience has given us a fresh perspective on the importance of supply chain in today's digital world. We also we are very much deeply gratitude towards Dr. Amit Patil, Dean of School of Management, for his continuous guidance and support in organizing and enlightening the session. His leadership has made today's event possible in a successful way. We are again grateful to organizing team and for their hard work and seamless coordination, making this event a smooth event. And a big thanks to faculty members of School of Management of PCU for their valuable support and efforts. With a special thanks, which I need to mention, Executive Director Dr. Girish Desai sir, Vice Chancellor Dr. Govind and Kulkarni sir, Pro Vice Chancellor Dr. Sudeep Thepre sir. Finally, I thank to all participants, especially our students who have joined us today. Hope you found this session valuable and this might have given you a practical knowledge for your professional journeys. So I thank you all. The feedback link for the students have been shared in the chat box. So please do fill the feedback because your attendance will be marked on the basis of the feedback given by you. Thank you very much, Prajakta ma'am. On this weekend, you are sparing your time with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
Officially, now we are closing this meeting. Thank you, everyone.
you. Thank you.